If you ever see this on a beach, ask for help and call the cops. Something strange. Never had he laid eyes on something like this. It was beautiful. He could barely contain his excitement at the thought of showing his family the strange creature he had found. He reached down and picked up the astounding creature and looked over to where his parents were sitting. He made the mistake of glancing away from the charming yet dangerous thing he was holding. Adventurous. The Lane family had been going to the Padre Island National Seashore for 30 years. They considered it a tradition at this point. They always needed a place to get away, after all. The Lane's son, Hunter, had learned to love the soft sand and crystal water whenever they went away. But one day the boy wanted adventure, so he traveled off on his own to find something that he hadn't seen before. Sea life. Hunter really loved aquatic life. His favorite thing to do whenever they came to this beach was to explore the wet sand at the shoreline to see if any mysteries of the deep had washed onto the shore. Hunter walked along the shoreline, checking on either side, and up ahead there was anything. He only saw the usual shells and garbage that had washed up in front of him. Suddenly he saw a blue glint in the corner of his eye. Beautiful. Blue is a color that really stands out amongst nature since it isn't normally a color that plants and animals are. They normally have natural camouflage to ward off predators. It wasn't the same blue that you'd find on a flower. It was more like the dazzling blue of the sea. It faded into contours of silver and gray. Hunter lowered himself down a bit lower than he should have to take a look at the animal. Grasping out. Small tentacles slithered out from the sides and grasped the air in Hunter's direction. The boy fell back in surprise. It wasn't something artificial. It was a real live animal. Hunter was excited and scared at the same time, but overall he was just happy that he found something that he'd been looking for so long. He had to be brave. He found a nearby stick and prodded the mystery. Explorer. The animal reacted by squirming on its side. Hunter could now see sand stuck to its tentacles as it squirmed. He decided to give it another prod. Hundreds of thoughts were going through Hunter's mind. Maybe it was a new species no one had found. He wanted nothing more than to become a famous and renowned explorer. Warning signs. Among Hunter's thoughts, one voice was screaming out louder than the others, and it wanted him to pick it up. If he showed it to his dad, he wondered if he'd let him take it home. He thought about all the children's jaws open when he brought it to show and tell, but with the boy excitedly daydreaming, he didn't see any of the signs that were on the beach. Danger. While the boy was trying to decipher the mystery behind the animal he had found, the Texas National Park Service was already hard at work trying to get the message out to the public about these small creatures appearing on the sand by the shoreline. Hunter didn't know the kind of animal he was thinking about touching with his bare skin, but he also didn't even know what he would do in the case that it attacked him. Get away. The Park Service insisted that if any beachgoers saw a blue dragon on the sand, they should avoid it at all costs, and no one should ever touch one, let alone with bare skin. In his excitement, Hunter hadn't noticed any of the signs and had already picked up the animal. He was sprinting towards his family with a wide grin on his face. Show and tell. Hunter had gotten to where his family was sitting and flashed them a big grin. He crouched down to show them the blue dragon that was trying desperately to escape. Both his parents and sister all loved animals. They were almost as excited as Hunter to see what he had found. They also wanted to pick it up and hold it. Search party. Hunter's father, Trey, leaned in and looked at the blue dragon closely, although, of course, he had no idea that's what he was looking at the time. Was it some kind of colorful jellyfish or slug, he wondered. Let's take a walk and see if we can find more, suggested Hunter excitedly. Holding on to his new pet, the family set off in search of more blue creatures, and they didn't have to look very far. Cashing in. As the Lanes strolled over to the spot where Hunter first discovered the creature, a huge wave crashed onto the shore, almost toppling Trey over. But after the father managed to regain his balance, he felt something brush against his ankle. Trey looked down to see several more of the same blue creatures his son was holding, and that wasn't all. They're everywhere. All along the shoreline, more of the mysterious blue creatures began to appear as the tide washed them onto the sand. Other beachgoers had their phones out and were filming or taking pictures. A few looked panicked and were making calls. But when the worried father overheard one of the conversations, he froze at spot. Close call. "Hunter, put that down. Don't touch it. It's poisonous," Trey screamed at his son. Hunter dropped the blue dragon and jumped away before another wave of them reached his feet. The blue dragon, also known as Glaucus atlanticus, sea swallows, or blue angels, are not the kind of things a 7-year-old boy should be messing with. But how could a 1-inch sea slug be so dangerous? Light snack. The marine gastropod spends its life bobbing along the temperate waters of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. Its favorite prey might sound familiar: the Portuguese man-o'-war, a jellyfish with a very painful sting. But to the blue dragon, it's not only a source of food, it's a way to load up on ammunition. Mine, thank you. Blue dragons aren't venomous by their own nature, and they have excellent immunity to other creatures' stings. But the way they harm a predator is very interesting and a bit scary. When they attach onto a man-o'-war, their feathery fingers have little sacs on the ends, which they use to carry what it steals. Floats like a butterfly. Sting cells from its food transfers to the little sacs where it's stored for later. The more it collects, the more agonizing the pain for its enemies, especially since it can be more concentrated into one spot, lighting the nerve endings on fire. But why are the creatures such an unnatural shade of blue? Can't see me. The hue comes from what the blue dragon eats, as well as the environment it lives in. It floats with the blue side facing up to blend into the water, and with the gray side facing down to be camouflaged from anything beneath it, underwater. However, the blue dragon's bright color was especially dangerous for young Hunter because it drew him right to it. Lucky. Hunter loves sea creatures and thought he had found a blue button jellyfish, said his father Trey. After he picked it up, he proclaimed to me that he had discovered a new species. But Hunter could have become the hunted if he spent even a second longer holding the dangerous creature. Their stings hurt twice as much as jellyfishes. Word of warning. This is the first time park spokesperson Jamie Kennedy has heard of blue dragon sightings on the beach. So if you see a dragon in the park, be amazed as they're a rare find, but also keep your distance, warns the National Seashore. In fact, as a general rule, maybe don't pick up strange creatures you find unless you know exactly what it can do to you. Don't touch this deadliest creature. Incredible alien-like blue dragon sea creatures have been spotted in their hundreds, sparking sting warnings for beachgoers. Tiny floating sea creatures, which look straight out of a sci-fi movie, are washing up on Australia's east coast, marine biology student and photographer Lawrence Shiel has reported. Blue dragons, or blue glaucus as they're officially called, have been blown away out from their usual habitat in remote ocean waters by recent strong northeasterly winds. Student Mr. Shiel says he has followed the Blue Fleet from North Queensland earlier in the summer to Sydney's northern beaches, where he took stunning photos of the marine life. Despite their minuscule size, as relatives of the Portuguese man-o'-war jellyfish, blue dragons can inflict one hell of a sting if touched, Daily Mail reports. Lawrence shared a video of the Blue Fleet clustered together on his popular Snorkel Down Under Instagram page. He captioned it, detailing everything he saw, followed by, "These beautiful blue creatures got swept onto Sydney's shoreline today. Which one's your favorite?" In another spectacular clip shared last week, he wrote, "Had an unsuspecting visit by hundreds of this beautiful creature known as Glossilla marginata, not to be confused with their cousin Glaucus atlanticus. During the summer months, strong winds wash these tiny 1-centimeter aeoloid nudibranchs onto shore. They're even expert acrobats." He added, "Some of these creatures are venomous, so best idea not to touch. Also, they're quite small, so look closely at the shoreline next time blue bottles wash up at your local beach. When they're not using their blue and silver coloring to hide from predators, blue dragons will snack on small ocean invertebrates, including others in the Blue Fleet. Their trick to float upside down on the surface of the water by swallowing a small air bubble is the same reason they're vulnerable to the wind blowing them to shore. Anyone fancying a closer look should be warned that the creatures unleash cells called nematocysts to leave a very painful sting whatever organism has just touched it. You should ask for help now. A scientist has finally identified the alien-like creature found on a popular beach as a brush-tail possum. Pastor Alex Tan, 28, made the creepy discovery earlier this week while walking along Cotton Tree Beach on the Sunshine Coast. Mr. Tan shared the odd animal to social media, saying, "I'm still guessing it's a possum. My bet of a chicken parmy for any expert that can prove me wrong still stands. After consultation with my colleague Heather Janetsky from the Queensland Museum, we're pretty sure that it's a swollen, waterlogged brush-tailed possum who has lost its fur, he told the Courier-Mail. The skull and hind limb give the clues. The animal was probably washed down into the ocean during the floods. Unfortunately, his agreement with Mr. Tan means Professor Johnson will not be awarded a chicken parmesan. The brush-tailed possum is very common throughout Australia, but is mostly found along the east coast. The possum is also found in New Zealand and gained fame in Sydney for becoming so well adapted to urban living that it will approach people. It's a nocturnal animal whose diet is made up of leaves, blossoms, and fruit. The find comes just a month after another baffled beachgoer discovered another alien. A northern Sydney woman uploaded a photo to Facebook of a strange brain-like animal. "Hey, anyone know what this is? Washed up at Wherrywood Beach this morning. Approximately 15 centimeters by 10 centimeters, she captured the photo. While some commenters were busy having a giggle over the creature's resemblance to a kidney or baked beans, wildlife experts shared their identification thoughts. One commenter was able to identify the blob as a wandering sea anemone, also known as a swimming anemone or a brain anemone. The strange-looking creature is the largest of the anemone family and usually attaches itself to rocks and algae, but is known to go adventuring. The wandering sea anemone is commonly seen in rock pools around Sydney. It can be red, yellow, orange, blue, or even striped, and is an algae predator when compared to other species. What this man did was impossible to keep him alive. A man had a very lucky escape after he filmed himself handling and even licking a slimy creature he stumbled across on the beach, completely ignorant to the danger it posed. The clip showed a sea animal washed up on the beach with a transparent balloon-like float and blue coloring, as well as long strands of tentacles coming off the bottom. TikTok user Alexa Reed 2 said, "Look guys, a jellyfish is still here," while prodding it with his finger, commenting on how cold and slimy it is before adding, "I'm going to pick it up." He pinches it between his fingers and says, "This is how it looks like. Yes, it's a jellyfish. Look how big it is, and it's still moving. Oh my God, I'm going to lick it." But what he seemingly didn't know was that the creature was actually a Portuguese man-of-war, nicknamed the Floating Terror, which has been known to kill humans. Although it's rare for humans to be killed by the venom the animal uses to paralyze and kill prey, the sting can cause shocking welts on exposed skin, leaving victims in excruciating pain for days afterward. The post was replied to MindDie97, who shares informative videos about nature and warned others not to copy what they'd been seeing, saying, "This is why women live longer than men. Shit like this. This is not a jellyfish, it's a Portuguese man-of-war, also known as the blue bottle, also known as the floating terror. It's a species armed with millions of explosive stinging cells, powerful enough to make Nemo an orphan and occasionally turn a person into the past tense. This man-of-war is responsible for up to 10,000 stings a year in Australia alone, and the venom can cause excruciating pain for up to 3 days, leaving a nasty, whip-like welt as a souvenir. But honestly, you're lucky if that's all you get, because the venom can trigger an allergic reaction that results in throat swelling, heart issues, and difficulty breathing, as you suffocate, possibly to death. And fun fact, not only can they write your obituary days, even tentacles that have been separated from its body contain enough venom to incapacitate you. Getting stung by a man-of-war is nowhere near a death sentence. Most of the time, if treated quickly, it's very survivable. But even though being put in a coffin by one is rare, the agonizing pain that comes with it might make you wish it wasn't. So it's probably best just to stick to the golden rule of not going around licking unidentified sea creatures. According to the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, a washed-up man-of-war on the beach, even if it looks dried out, remains highly venomous. It should be treated respectfully, and care should be taken to avoid touching the tentacles. If you see these creatures lying on the beach, please do not touch them. Please inform the lifeguard services or one of our beach patrols, and we'll make sure that it gets disposed of properly, the Myrtle Beach Fire Rescue wrote, adding that some man-of-wars have been spotted on the north end of the beach. Despite the way it looks, the man-of-war is not a true jellyfish, the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources said, nor is it a single animal. Instead, the sea creature is a colony of numerous organisms called polyps or zooids that are so specialized they cannot live without each other, according to the department. Another creepy animal. Drew Lambert came across the odd discovery during a jog on Australia's Bondi Beach and posted a video of the creature on Facebook in hopes of identifying the find. A creature that washed up on an Australian beach has left many scratching their heads. According to Storyful, on April 5th, Drew Lambert discovered a strange-looking animal washed up on the shore of Australia's Bondi Beach during a jog. Lambert took a video of the odd find and posted it on Facebook, captioning the clip, "Can someone please tell me what this weird alien-like creature is that was washed up on the beach at Bondi today?" The jogger told Storyful that the unusual animal was about half a meter long, with human-like lips and skin like a shark. "I've lived in Bondi for 20 years and I've never seen anything like this before," he added. After posting the video of the creature on Facebook, Lambert told Storyful he now believes the animal was a decomposing coffin ray with ballooned intestines based on the comments his clip has received. Letitia Hanan, a supervisor at the Sea Life Sydney Aquarium, came to a similar conclusion. Hanan told news.com.au that the animal is a coffin ray, also known as an Australian numbfish, a species found close to shore along Australia's east and west coasts. The discovery comes less than 2 weeks after another man found a different creature on an Australian beach. Alex Tan described the unrecognizable animal he came across as extraterrestrial in a video he posted to Instagram. The deep sea is practically a world of its own. It's cold, it's pitch black, and the water pressure is so intense, human bodies would not survive it. This extreme environment has forced deep-sea animals to evolve in order to survive. How weird is that? Tan adds in the clip. Looks like a deheaded possum, but different to anything I've seen.